Have you ever seen something online that's similar to something you want, but not exactly what you're looking for? This can be really frustrating because if things were just slightly different in one way or another, you'd want to buy this thing. This happens to me a lot actually, and it's the inspiration for a number of projects that I've done in the past. This project is an example of that. A friend sent me this video of a guy who makes AirTag holders in the shape of unknown Pokemon. But when I checked the website, he really only had the letters A, S, C, and the question mark unknown. I checked the data, thanks at Todd R. Jones, and only about 26% of people have names that start with those letters. And how many of those people want keychains for AirTags specifically? So he's missing a huge chunk of people. Unless you're one of those people who wants to spell a certain 3-letter word with it, maybe for a body part, you could add a question mark at the end. Maybe. If you couldn't tell by my months-long, nearly $1,000 Johto region table project, I'm a little bit of a Pokemon fan. So I was ready to swipe on an unknown AirTag holder, because that's pretty cool, until I saw they didn't have the letters that I wanted. I grew up watching Pokemon 3, the movie Spell the Unknown, so I always thought unknowns were pretty cool. But my name starts with a G. It's Grayson. And I've gone my entire life without ever finding my name on one of those little keychains that you see in gift shops. This brought back that feeling of frustration that I knew as a kid. But now I have the skills to do something about it, and to make sure that no one else has that same feeling of frustration. So these will be for sale on my Etsy, which I'll link in the description. The video I showed earlier by @thatwasmadebymaddie on Instagram are made of silicone. These need to be flexible so you can actually take the AirTag in and out of them. And I can't do silicone molding, but what I can do is print in TPU, which is a flexible 3D printed material. I previously used this for the wheels on my Legend of Zelda Spirit Train. Before I even got to the unknown part, I had to create a design with the right dimensions that would hold the AirTag in place without letting it fall out, but would also allow you to take the AirTag in and out with a little bit of flexing and pushing. I went through a few design tweaks and a few print setting tweaks because TPU is a notoriously difficult to print material, and the final result is highly sensitive to small changes in print settings. If you lower the infill, change the top layers, or change the number of walls, even the extrusion percent results in wildly different rigidities, so that had to be dialed in as well. All printers these days come with default profiles for materials, but TPU usually has to be dialed in anyway to achieve exactly what you're looking for. With a working AirTag holding ring, I just had to design the unknowns. I set up the model in a way that made it easy for me to just draw lines based on the shape of the unknowns. I used this official image to design each letter, and something that I discovered through this is a lot of people get unknown L wrong. There's no loop at the bottom, it's just a solid, it's solid, look at it. The first one I designed was G, because that's the first letter of my first name, so it had to come first, naturally. I printed it out and tested the fit, and it worked. While I was working through the rest of the letters, I realized that some had convenient places to put a hole for a keyring, but some required their own dedicated keyring holder. Letters like S and I had a convenient spot for a hole, but letters like G didn't. I wanted to stay as accurate as I could to the actual designs, but some just didn't have a good spot to put a hole without making the unknown sit sideways while hanging off a backpack or a keychain. But after I designed everything, it was just a matter of printing every piece out. Once I had all the letters printed out, I just had to clean them up. TPU cannot be printed in a multi-material unit. It's too flexible, and due to the friction of the tubes the material unit uses, it gets jammed up and can't retract back onto the spool in the unit. The material unit is how I printed a lot of multicolor things in the past, and also how I can print supports in alternate materials that are easier to remove. Printers with multiple nozzles can print TPU with something like PLA supports, which are very easy to remove, but I can't do that. So the supports had to be made of TPU, which means pulling them off is a little more annoying. Another annoyance with TPU is that it is incredibly sensitive to moisture. This specific roll has been sitting in my print room open for months, which means it has sapped up a lot of moisture just sitting in the air, which means printing can result in pretty stringy parts that have to be cleaned up, which requires a little blast from the heat gun to shrink up those little plastic strings. Well, now I have all my parts, but we're still missing something. Well, a few things actually. The first is that the AirTag doesn't have an eye on it. I wanted to find some stickers online that I could use as the eye, but nothing really matched exactly what I was looking for. Everything had varied rolls or, I don't know, googly eyes. It just wasn't exactly what I needed. So I had to design my own. I went into Inkscape and just dropped in a few circles and voila, the eye is ready. I went to stickeru.com to make some sticker sheets for myself with a custom eye on them. And I ordered the minimum amount that I could, which was 264, so I sure hope some people want to buy these, or I'm going to have a lot of eye stickers left over that I don't need. Since my intent is to sell these, I didn't want to wall myself off from people who just wanted an unknown keychain without the AirTag. So I went into SolidWorks and made a little plastic insert that has the eye on it, so that I could ship these as a keychain that's a finished product, no AirTag. With the little eye printed out, I had finished my unknown. It looked pretty neat with the eye in it. Now the last missing piece is just the hardware to turn it into an actual keychain. I wanted to keep everything black, so I found some key rings and swivel clips on Amazon. And now that I have those, I have a completed product ready to go. Every unknown letter is a completed keychain. I immediately threw one of these onto my backpack because I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I think they look pretty cool. And as I mentioned earlier, I do intend to sell these on Etsy, so they're for sale now, page is up. I tried to show off how they look in real life in the pictures, and I also wanted to make them cheaper than the ones made by other people, so they're more accessible. I wanted to do a price breakdown on one of these, since people liked seeing that for the table that I made. This also helps give a frame of reference for how I like to set the price on Etsy, because I'm not just selling the sum of the materials, I'm selling the work that went into the designing, the work that goes into assembly, the cost of maintaining the machinery, and mainly the cost of shipping the products. This should also give you a frame of reference for how other people set prices on Etsy. A lot of people just try to rake in as much profit as possible, and I also want a profit of course, but I'm trying to keep things reasonably priced. On average, each unknown is around 12 grams of TPU filament and 8 grams of PLA filament. A roll of TPU is $22, and a roll of PLA is $20, which comes out to 44 cents total for filament. Each package will include 2 eye stickers at just over 13 cents per, which is 27 cents total for those. The black key rings and swivel clips were ordered in large quantities at $6 for 250 respectively, bringing the total of the hardware cost to 42 cents per keychain. That puts the keychain itself at just under $1 in raw materials, which is pretty cheap, but the real killer is shipping. Each padded envelope is 20 cents, but the main cost is the shipping label. Padded envelope shipping through Etsy is typically around $6, which is also a little bit of a discount for the normal USPS shipping. But this is built into the price of the object because free shipping sells, even if the cost is already paid in the item. It feels way better to buy something that's more expensive with free shipping than something cheaper with $6 shipping. So there's your price breakdown. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I have more projects cooking, so make sure to subscribe to keep up. And if you have anything you want to see me make, leave a comment. This is a bit of a smaller project that I wanted to get done while I'm working on something else that I think is pretty exciting. I'll give you a hint though, it has something to do with the Wii. Not any specific game franchise, but the console itself. But that's all the info you get. While you're here, go check out some of my other videos. You saw it in the background of this one, but the Johto region table is my biggest and most expensive project so far. It's also the one I'm proudest of, and true Pokemon fans will appreciate the level of detail that went into it. You should also check out my Lethal Company apparatus that I actually had to use recently when my power went out. It made the power outage feel much more whimsical, but also a little scary. And finally, go check out my Etsy. I have some of my giant Lego products on there, And now I've put this keychain up, so there's plenty to look at. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.